Okay, guys. Look, day 2 of minicamp. I thought we got a lot of good work done today. Again, it was another good practice and a tough environment. So I think we're doing some good things, and we got one more practice tomorrow. So
always got to preface by saying this early, and especially for linemen who can't be as physical as you want. But Nick Saldivari is getting an opportunity here. How are you seeing him handle?
Yeah, look, I think he's doing some good things. And yet, I think, like we talked about yesterday, I don't think you can get too high or too low, or read too much into what we're seeing, out here. We'll get a really good evaluation where everybody is once we really put the pads on and we start, playing real football. And so, but all that being said, in terms of execution, in terms of knowing what to do, in terms of getting to the right spots, I think he's done a pretty good job.
He seems to have the athleticism that John wants from those linemen.
Yeah, no, definitely does. He fits the profile, and I like his mindset and I like his demeanor, and so I'm excited about seeing him once we get to training camp.
Yeah, is there real competition for the kicker job?
Well, I think there's real competition for a majority of the jobs on our team. I think when you really look at it, I like both of the players. I think Smith has probably got maybe a little bit stronger leg than Groupie, and yet the consistency hasn't been quite the same. And look, my hope is that I'm going to see a nice jump between last year to this year from Blake Groupie, because I think he's extremely talented. So I think we just got to let this thing play out. There's a long way before we get to the beginning of the season, and we won't make any judgments right now, but we'll let it play out.
You know his range, Smith? Field goal?
It's long. I don't know exactly what it is. I mean, when we talk about range, how far can he kick it? I bet he could kick 70 yards. Now, does he have the accuracy to be able to do that? We'll find that out.
Dennis, what was your initial reaction, to bring him aboard here, signing of the offseason?
You talking about Charlie?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. We knew that there was a raw, talented player there, and we knew that he had an extremely strong leg, and so we felt like that would be a good person to bring in that could provide some competition, and maybe this is a guy that we might be able to develop. So we'll just have to see how it goes.
We talked to you yesterday about Lattimore and Kamara and Ramczyk. I kind of wanted to get your bigger picture thoughts on that draft class. I mean, that's been the kind of the core of this team for a number of years. I mean, what does that mean to what you all done here?
Yeah, well, I think all three of those players have been a major part of that. All three had a huge impact in our ability to have success here for an extended period of time. And look, I think that's what this league's really about. This league's about draft and develop, draft and develop, draft and develop. And we've had some good draft classes here. 06 was one of our better draft classes. 2017 was one of our better draft classes. So we've had some classes that have been foundational pieces to our success. And so, look, I think all of our hopes is that this past draft is another foundational piece as we move forward, into really what I'm saying is year 3 of this regime.
Dennis, what do you attribute? I know it's much more than just sacks, quarterback hurries, quarterback hits, however you describe it, but what do you attribute that the big slide last year only having 32 sacks versus in previous seasons you had high 40s, low 50s, then you're amongst the best? Well, why that big drop off? Is it because of injuries or what?
Well, look, everything plays a part in it, but I think probably the biggest thing is we didn't finish at the quarterback as well last year as maybe we've done in the past, and I think that's an area that we have to improve on. I think getting a little more speed, a little more athleticism. That's one of the reasons why we brought Chase Young on board. If we can keep Peyton Turner healthy, if Isaiah Foskey can come on like I think he's got a shot to, it gives you probably more options to go and rush the passer. And so part of that is being able to be in waves, keeping guys fresh. And part of it is, hey, let's get out to a 2-score lead where we're able to just rush the passer. And so I think there's a lot of factors that go, involved in that, and being able to, get the quarterback on the ground.
When you have a relative down year, and what Bobby just asked about, how does that reflect on the job that the defensive backs did last season, and being like a top 10 against the pass and their coverage in general? And how does that set the expectation level for them?
Well, yeah. I mean, look, I think, there's some things that we did really well. I thought, some of our pass defense, I thought was, one of the better things that we did. I think we've consistently been a solid third down team, solid red zone team. So some of our situational stuff has been good, although it can still improve. I think it's obviously one of our strengths, and certainly pass rush and pass coverage have to be able to work together. So there's probably a little bit more rush and pressure maybe that we've gotten credit for, but I think that's certainly still an area that we need to improve.
Dennis, when you look at like last year, your top 10 scoring offense, top 10 scoring defense, if you're able to do that again, isn't that usually like definitely a winning formula? You're holding your opponent down and you score?
Yeah, I mean, you would hope that would be the case. I think, each game's different. One of the things that we had last year is we got to do a better job of scoring early in games. And I think that's an area that we can improve on, and be better in the first half of games. And I think that helps us. So, when you're down by, 2 or 3 scores, and all of a sudden, you're playing a little bit of catch up, you're scoring some points, but yet I don't know that they're the same meaning as, if you're starting off the game and you're getting up 14-0, it changes the whole dynamics of the game.
So how would you describe your staff's approach to the new kickoff rules, and with it being so new, is there like kind of an avenue for you guys to be creative there?
Well, yeah. I mean, look, I think here's the reality. There's nobody that knows what this kickoff is going to look like. That's the reality. It's never been done before. There's some examples of similar setups, but it's never been done before. And so I think the teams that are able to adapt and adjust the best are the teams that are going to have the most success. And so I think that's what we have to be. I think we have to have a plan in place of how we want to attack this, and then we have to be able to study and look at how things are going throughout the preseason, and make adjustments that we need to make.
If you have playmakers, or is that just something they come here with, or is that something you think you can develop?
I think it's both. I think certainly there's a natural ability that comes along with being a playmaker, but I also feel like there's things that you can do to develop that. I think from a fundamental standpoint, let's just take a receiver for instance, right? There's certain things that we can do to develop their route running ability. There's certain things that we can do to develop their ability to run the ball after catch. And so I think there's certainly things that you can develop, but it starts with, what mama and daddy gave them in terms of their, God-given ability.
But as far as like, you think maybe like what Bobby was talking about in some of those games, if you had a player or two like that, either on offense or defense, that would have made a huge difference last year?
Well, look, I really don't want to live in hypotheticals, but you asked the question. So, yeah, I mean, look, I think you can go back in any game, and generally you can, all the plays matter, right? But you can generally point to a handful of plays that really were significant impact plays. So, yeah, I think that's something that we need to be better at. That's something that we need to improve, making those, game impacting type plays.
Is there anything that stood out to you about either your veteran receivers that you brought in, Cedric Wilson or Equanimeous St. Brown, even beyond what we can chart on the field and tangibles that they might fill a role?
Well, I think. Look, here's the biggest thing. The biggest thing is that you got two veteran players that have come in and put their head down and gone to work, and have bought into the way that we're trying to coach the position, what we're trying to install from a scheme standpoint. I think sometimes one of the challenges you have when you bring in veteran players is they've established themselves and established a way of doing things, and for a lot of these guys, they've been able to have some success doing that. And so the challenge kind of becomes getting guys to buy into what you're doing and how you want to do it. And look, sometimes that process takes longer than others. But I'd say, for the most part, every one of the veterans that we've brought in have come in and bought into what we're doing, offensively and defensively.
Is either guy blocker, contested catch receiver, anything in that sort of?
I think both of them have that ability. Both of them have some size. Both of them have some physicality. And I think both of them have shown a willingness to want to, be able to put their nose in there and get some of the dirty work done.
How about A.T. Perry? What are you seeing from what you guys wanted to see from his growth?
Yeah, look, he's still got a long way to go. That's what we're seeing. We're seeing a guy that's got talent, has shown signs of being a playmaker, and has shown signs of inconsistency. And so I think that's the challenge with all young players, is how do you get them to that's what really the development really is. The development is the consistency with which you have to, perform on a day in and day out basis. And I think that's, that's the challenge that we're faced with not only AT, but a lot of these young guys.
Yeah, we saw Spencer with the Tuesday. Is that going to be sufficient to kind of switch back and forth?
Yeah, look, I think, that thing's going to battle out all throughout training camp. And so, and I don't think that position is unique in that I think there's going to be several positions where you'll see a few different lineup changes along the way, and it's just part of the competitive nature of this game that we play and the evaluation process.
Are you seeing Derek get more and more comfortable within the system?
Yeah, I think every day he's getting more and more comfortable, which is good to see. I think, and again, it's going to be a process. We're not nearly the completed work of art. We got a long way to go, but yeah, I think every day that he gets out here, he feels more and more comfortable, not only with the scheme, but with the players that are around him.
You said something yesterday about running the same kind of run plays, teaching it differently, or coaching concepts in different. Can you expand on that a little bit? What do you mean by that?
Well, look, each here's the deal. In our league, all right, on offense, if you're going to run the football, okay, you have man schemes, you have gap schemes, and you have zone schemes. All right, that there's not really anything else you can do, And so, okay, how are we teaching our wide zone as compared to how some other guys are teaching it? What are our targets? What are our landmarks that we're trying to hit? There's a lot of different things that go along with that. And rather than getting into all the specific details, I think that's I think it's one of the things that makes this offense unique and this offense different. So,
but along those lines, how much do you think improvement lies just in coaching and accountability of that? Some of the players have talked about that. Some of the leaders on the team saying we need to be more accountable.
Yeah. I think that's been a big emphasis for this offseason. Accountability. and guys being accountable to doing their job on every single play and doing it the way that it's supposed to be done. And so all the details matter. You don't get to pick which details matter. They all matter.
Coach Alontae, not here today.
He's got a little deal with his oblique. It's nothing serious. I don't think he'll be out here tomorrow, but it's nothing that'll affect him for training camp.
Dennis Saldivary's being, I guess, right place, right time to step in at left guard during the injuries. What is it really doing for his development in this game?
Yeah, look, I mean, anytime you get a chance to get out here and get some reps, I think that's how you develop. That's how you get better, you know. So, yeah, I think that this work's been good for him, and yet there's going to be a lot of competition for that spot, you know. Oliudo's a guy that hasn't, you know, really taken any reps, you know, this off season that you know, could be potentially, you know, working in that spot too. So there's a lot of variations. Again, like I said the other day, I wouldn't read too much into any sort of depth charts or any sort of evaluations that you're seeing during this time frame.
Dennis, before you know it, training camp is going to be here after tomorrow. How did you all go about like picking and choose who you're going to practice against? You're out on the West Coast, you know, Dallas out there, the Chargers, you practice against them, Rams. Is it the 49ers maybe y'all will look into that being the measuring stick? You kind of see where you're at considering the success they've had lately?
Yeah, that was part of it. I mean, obviously we were going out there to practice, and we're holding training camp out there, and so you're trying to see who you might be able to compete against. And one of the things that I didn't want to do is I didn't want to travel to go to training camp and then have to pick everything up and go travel again somewhere else to have a few practices. You know, I thought that was a lot on the players, and so you know, we reached out to the 49ers and you know, they wanted to come down and work against us. And you know, I think, you know, I know from talking with Kyle, you know, one of the things that he expressed was, you know, he was looking forward to the opportunity to work against our defense. We're certainly looking forward to the opportunity to work against them really on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. And yeah, you're right. Like, this has been, you know, a measuring stick in our league, and in particular in the NFC. And so yeah, I think, you know, it'll be a, you know, good opportunity for us. All right, thanks guys.